everyone, so today I want to share with you my new watercolor palette that I put together, and I gave it a name and I called it the Candy Box, purely because I find the colors so luscious and so yummy. So the reason why I put this palette together is because I really enjoyed putting the first palette. This one was the face watercolor palette. I put it together to create illustrations, face illustrations, and later on I realized that actually the colors are great for florals as well. So I had so much fun creating this little palette, and all the colors make me really happy, and it just, I don't have a single color in here that I don't find useful. It just works beautifully together. And after that I decided to create another palette to take with me. So I've got 18 colors in this one, and I squeezed in another 15 into this smaller mint tin. And because I'm going to go away on holiday, I basically will have loads of watercolors to take with me. I hope in time they will dry, so I still have about 2 weeks to go, and some of them dry faster than others. And so yeah, today I will be talking about these colors and also show you some swatches, and also do some swatches in Midori MD notebook, which is a different paper altogether, but I'm thinking of taking that notebook with me to do illustrations while I'm away. So I'm just curious how these watercolors will look on that paper. So let me just, as a very quick kind of comparison in colors, show you that the colors I have picked. Let's have a look. So here I have a different yellow and a couple of those neutrals, which I realized are great for skin tones, and those are beautiful. And in terms of pinks, I have a lot less pinks, and in fact I don't have a single red here because I'm covered, very well covered in this palette with the reds. And these are just the additions in fact this one, which is the Winsor Newton, I'm trying to think, it's the Madder, the Rose Madder Genuine. Sorry, this one is quite similar to Rhodonite Genuine, but I still see there are enough difference to include both. And quite frankly, those two Winsor Newton I had for a while. They're very pretty, beautiful pink colors, but I just don't use them for some reason, and I just decided to start using them. And then I have a few, and to be precise, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4, 5 maybe, core colors in here. So this is from the so the 4 colors come from this palette, which is the high chroma, and then 1, which is this one, the Cobalt Blue, I bought a separate tube of. So anyways, I decided to start using them because they are beautiful. However, you will notice something weird going on here. So on the orange and on the Quinacridone Gold, which is this one, there is just some sort of settling of the pigment. I'm thinking maybe the pigment wasn't mixed with the water enough, but I don't get the same in any other watercolor. So this one you can see as well, that texture. So I'm not sure what's happening here, but we'll look at that. Then as a dark sort of like a shadow color, in the first palette I had Payne's Grey as my favorite gray included, and then I thought here I probably want to have Moonglow by Daniel Smith, because it's just it's such a great color, and we will look at it as well in a bit. And then going back to comparison, there is a blue, the cobalt blue, that I have now included here, which I find so gorgeous when mixing in with other colors. I don't particularly use it straight up as it comes, but mixing with others, it creates beautiful granulation effects, and separates as well very beautifully. So yeah, and then the next one is a cobalt teal, which is quite opaque, and then I have a transparent ultramarine turquoise over here, so they're quite different but similar at the same time. And then finally at the bottom I have included a series of green sort of tones, and of course I could not include the green Apatite genuine. So that is what I have done, just comparing them side by side, and it gives me a beautiful variety of colors all together. So I'm very happy. And then here is also a duochrome. So in this palette I included one duochrome, which is the Cactus Flower by Daniel Smith, and here I have got the Iridescent Scarab and also Schmincke's Gold up here. So I've got three kind of interesting colors there to work with as well. And now let's just concentrate on this gorgeous little candy box palette. Okay, so let's start by first of all just going through the colors as they are in the palette. So I have done the swatches on different papers, or two different papers. This one is on the Winsor Newton hot pressed paper, which has more texture than other hot pressed papers. Hopefully you can see that just here. And I don't know, I don't think that the colors look as vivid on this paper than they do on here, purely because this is a lot whiter, although it's a much cheaper paper. So this is the Tiger block that I'm using, the aquarelle block. Let me just show you. So it's actually so fun. It was really cheap and I was really skeptical, but I ended up using it a lot for illustrations that I ended up framing. So this comes at about £4, I think, for 20 sheets of 300 GSM paper, and I really like the texture of it. You can see how the watercolor settles into the grooves of the paper, and I happen to really like that. And like I said, because it's white, the watercolor seems to pop a lot more than it is on the off-white Winsor & Newton. But that's just to give you an idea what it looks like. Also, I was playing around with the arrangement of the colors because I'm quite precise. It really does bug me if the arrangement doesn't work. So I was color coordinating them and sort of putting them into the order that I felt made sense to me. Although I do quite like this order, I ended up going with this. So now let's go through the colors. So they are in the order as they are in the palette. So the top row, second, third row, and finally the green row at the bottom. So the first one is, let me just grab my pointer. So the first one is Nickel Azo Yellow, which is by Daniel Smith. And if we compare it to the Indian Yellow, which is my all-time favorite yellow, you could sort of say that they look very, very similar. But in fact, the Nickel Azo Yellow is more muted. So it's sort of, it's almost like it's described like a yellow ochre in a way. So I thought that would be a great variation to add. I do quite like this color. So the second one is Daniel Smith Quinacridone Deep Gold, and that's a color I purchased new along with this one. So these three I just purchased. They're in fact here. Let me just show you. And they look so beautiful side by side, and that's how I decided to arrange them. So I do have the Quinacridone Gold, but this is a deep gold, and it's sort of beautiful kind of neutral sort of browny color, but it's very warm and it's gorgeous. Next one is Daniel Smith Transparent Red Oxide, which again I very much like, and it's great for skin tones, mixing it and things like that. Then we are going into QoR. So the QoR that I have here is the transparent Pyrrole Orange, and like I said, it's doing something weird here. Then the next one is the QoR Quinacridone Magenta. So I don't have a magenta in the other palette, and I thought it would be good for me to include this color and start using QoR more often. And I thought actually the colors in this QoR palette are so summery and so bright and gorgeous that it's a great time to use them. The next two are by Winsor & Newton. So this one is the Winsor & Newton Permanent Rose, and this one, as I mentioned earlier, is the Winsor & Newton Rose Madder Genuine. So then we have Daniel Smith Cactus Flower, which I also mentioned. It's a duochrome, so it's like a pinky kind of like a potter's pink if you look straight onto it, but then when you tilt it you get a beautiful lilac-y a sheen to it. So that's a nice color to work with. On the third row we have Moonglow, of course by Daniel Smith, and gorgeous color. So here you can have a look. This is just a normal swap, and here I have done some blooms, and by dabbing a bit of water, and it helps to separate the pigment a little bit more, and it's just great color for, again, for texture. You can create texture very easily just with this one color, and you don't need to mix anything else. Separates gorgeously. You can see these blue dots with pink and gray, so that's the three colors kind of that it separates into beautiful. And then we have the next one, which is also new. So this one is the Lavender by Daniel Smith. It's the color that's from 2017, so I've ordered it as well. And actually these are the final three, so I added the 6 colors to my watercolor collection recently. So the duochrome Cactus Flower and the Prussian green, which we'll come to. The one next to Lavender is the QoR Cobalt Blue. Like I said, gorgeous color. If you don't like ultramarine, it's beautiful and great for mixing. Then this one is the QoR Cobalt Teal. Great teal color. I always wanted to include a teal, and I didn't do it here because actually I happen to have all of these colors I think are quite transparent, and this palette has a few opaques, and so I thought it would be great to include it in this palette rather. And then over here I have another QoR color, and this is the QoR Green Gold. Yeah, there is one by Daniel Smith which I have as well. It's quite similar, but I just thought, like I said, I wanted to use the QoR colors. And next to it is the Green Apatite Genuine by Daniel Smith, and finally also Daniel Smith Prussian Green. Now that's the color that, like I said, I ordered recently. It's a beautiful green, deep moody green color, which is I really like a lot. And yeah, so that's it. So that's how I went about. Just briefly, I wanted to touch on the Quinacridone Gold. So I was considering 2 Quinacridone Golds. One by, well actually, I have a Quinacridone Gold in Daniel Smith, but it looks different to this. And when I started swatching the Quinacridone Deep Gold that I just bought, I realized they're very, very similar. And the reason I went for Quinacridone Deep Gold is because I'm not sure, like I said, what these bits are. If you're familiar with it, if you have tried QoR before, do let me know, because I haven't noticed this before, and maybe it's something to do with paper. But then, having said that, none of the other colors, the Winsor Newtons and the Daniel Smiths, they're just not reacting the same way. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on, and I didn't want to have that. But like I said, I do have the same problem in these two colors, and so I will see how I get on with it. But it's strange to me because, like I said, I haven't experienced that before. Okay, so I've got some dots of the colors left here, and I'm going to swatch them out on the different paper now, and those that are finished I'll probably just dab in here because they're sort of settling in nicely, and luckily it's kind of hot weather now, so the watercolors should dry in time. Very nice. Okay, so for the paper today I'm going to use this MD cotton notebook, and that's the only illustration I have here, just because I find this sketchbook so precious. I love it, and what could be a better time than taking it to a vacation with me and start creating some art. So I'm going to I'm thinking I should do swatches at the back. Okay, I'm going to go right to the back of it. That would be a nice little index of watercolors for me. And I'm just going to move things around. I can't get this in, so I'm going to just hold it probably. And let's see. So I don't have much of the yellow left on here, so I might need to dip in. And so let's have a look how much I can get out of this one. And this one you need to pack on a little bit if you want a nice swatch, because it's quite translucent, which is great because if you're going to apply it on top of a color, it's just going to give you a little kind of sheen, which is what you want. You can get it sort of a bit more opaque if you like, but then it just starts to look a little bit too much. And I haven't tried mixing it with other colors just yet, but I do like sort of glazing with it when it's really washed out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, title them and dry them and come back and see how the colors are behaving. Okay, so they're now nice and dry, and I'm happy to see that doesn't seem to be the same issue with the QoR transparent Pyrrole orange and the QoR magenta as there was on this paper, so it makes me think that maybe it had something to do with the paper, how it reacted. And yeah, the colors look really nice, and you know, as to expect, there is a little bit of warping, but none of the colors are seeping through. I think it will be fun to work with these colors in this book. Thanks for watching and see you soon.